I'm Sarah Chin, 32 years old. 3 weeks ago, I was lying in a hospital bed with internal bleeding, 3 broken ribs, and a ruptured spleen after a drunk driver T-boned my car at an intersection. My 2-year-old daughter Emma was at daycare when it happened, safe and unharmed. But I wasn't going to be picking her up. The paramedics were telling me I needed emergency surgery within the hour, or I might not make it. From the ambulance, with an oxygen mask half covering my face and my hands shaking, I called my mother. "Mom," I managed to say through the pain. "I've been in a car accident. I need emergency surgery. Can you please pick up Emma from daycare and watch her? I'm at Mercy General." There was a pause. Then my mother's voice came through, annoyed and inconvenienced. "Sarah, this is really bad timing. Your father and I are leaving for our Caribbean cruise tomorrow morning. We've had this planned for months. You know how much we've been looking forward to this with your sister." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mom, I have internal bleeding. They're taking me into surgery. Emma needs someone." "You're always so dramatic about everything," she cut me off. "I'm sure it's not as serious as you're making it sound. You probably just have some bruises. Can't you call one of those babysitting services? We have our cruise, Sarah. 14 days with your sister and her family. We're not missing that for your drama." The paramedic beside me was staring at my phone with an expression I'll never forget. Pure disbelief mixed with disgust. "Mom, please. I'm begging you. Emma is 2 years old. She needs family. We are family, which is why you should understand how important this trip is to us. Your sister specifically requested we come. She's already there waiting for us in Miami. I'm not disappointing her because you got into a fender bender. Figure it out yourself. You're an adult." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, blood seeping through the temporary bandages the paramedics had applied to my side. The female paramedic gently took the phone from my hand. "Honey," she said softly, "let's focus on getting you stabilized. Do you have anyone else?" I didn't. My ex-husband had abandoned us when Emma was 6 months old, moved across the country and hadn't sent a single child support payment. My father always just went along with whatever my mother said. My sister Melissa? She was already in Miami, probably sipping cocktails on the beach, waiting for our parents to join her on their luxury family vacation. The one I apparently wasn't important enough to be included in. Before I tell you what happened next, if you're enjoying this story, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But only if you're genuinely connecting with this. Now let me tell you about the decision I made in that ambulance. "I need to make a call," I told the paramedic. My voice was steadier now, ice cold with clarity. I pulled up a premium nanny service I'd heard about from a colleague at work. Despite the pain, despite the fear, I managed to explain my situation. They had someone available immediately. A wonderful woman named Patricia who could pick up Emma within 30 minutes and stay with her for as long as needed. $45 an hour, 24-hour minimum commitment. I didn't hesitate. I gave them my credit card information right there in the ambulance. Then I did something else. Something I'd been thinking about for years but never had the courage to do. I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic monthly transfer. $3,800. Every single month. For the past 8 years and 2 months. I did the math even through the haze of pain. $374,240. That's how much money I'd secretly been sending my parents since I was 24 years old. They thought they were living off my father's pension and Social Security. They had no idea their mortgage, their car payments, their HOA fees, their property taxes, all of it was being paid by the daughter they considered a disappointment. Let me back up and tell you how I got here, because this didn't start with a car accident. This started 32 years ago when I was born and my mother decided I would never be good enough. Growing up, I was always the other daughter. Melissa, 3 years older, was everything. Straight A's without trying. Homecoming queen. Full scholarship to Princeton. MBA from Wharton. Now a senior executive at a Fortune 500 company pulling in $400,000 a year. My parents' pride and joy. Their success story. The one they actually introduced to people at parties. Me. I was the afterthought. The surprise baby my mother never really wanted. I heard her tell her friends once when I was 7 years old. 2 was the plan. Sarah was the accident. I struggled with dyslexia in school. My grades were mediocre despite working twice as hard as everyone else. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I went to State University on student loans. I became a medical billing specialist, making a decent $72,000 a year. Not glamorous. Not impressive. Not worth mentioning at family gatherings. My mother introduced Melissa as my daughter the executive. She introduced me as my other daughter, if she introduced me at all. When I was 24, fresh out of college and working my first real job, I visited my parents' house and accidentally saw a foreclosure notice on the kitchen counter. My father's pension wasn't enough. They were drowning in debt. The house they'd lived in for 30 years was going to be taken away. I couldn't let that happen. Despite everything, despite the neglect and the favoritism and the constant comparisons, they were still my parents. So I went to their bank, worked out a payment plan and started making their mortgage payments. Then I noticed their car was about to be repossessed, so I took over those payments too. Then property taxes. Then HOA fees. I set it all up through automatic transfers from my account to theirs, labeled simply as transfer, so they wouldn't know where it was coming from. They just thought they suddenly had more money. They never questioned it. They certainly never thanked me because they never knew. For 8 years I lived in a modest apartment, drove a 10-year-old Honda, and wore clothes from Target so my parents could maintain their lifestyle in their 3-bedroom house in the nice neighborhood, driving their newer car, taking their annual vacations. When I got pregnant with Emma, my mother's response was, "Well, that's unfortunate timing. I hope you're not expecting us to babysit. We raised our children already." When Emma's father left, my mother said, "I'm not surprised. You always did have poor judgment." When I asked if they wanted to be part of Emma's life, my mother said, "We see her on major holidays. That's sufficient." They'd seen their granddaughter exactly 7 times in 2 years. 7 times. For Christmas, Thanksgiving and Emma's first and second birthdays. That was it. No random visits. No, let me watch her while you run errands. No actual interest in being grandparents. But they'd flown to Miami 4 times in the past year to visit Melissa. They'd gone on 2 cruises with her. They posted hundreds of photos on Facebook of family time with my sister, her husband, and their kids. I wasn't in a single photo. Neither was Emma. Last Thanksgiving, the family group text included everyone except me. I only found out about dinner plans because I called my mother directly. When I showed up, she looked annoyed. "Oh, we didn't think you'd want to come. You're always so busy." There were place settings for 12 people. None of them were for Emma and me. The surgery took 4 hours. They removed my spleen, repaired internal bleeding, and set my ribs. When I woke up, Patricia was there in my room. She'd brought Emma to the hospital, and my daughter was sleeping peacefully in a portable crib the nurses had found. "She's perfect," Patricia whispered. "We had dinner, she had a bath at your apartment. I hope you don't mind, I got your keys from your purse, and she fell asleep around 8. She asked for you, but I told her mommy would see her very soon." I started crying. This complete stranger had done more for my daughter in 6 hours than my own mother had done in 2 years. "Patricia, I can't thank you enough." "Stop," she said gently. "This is my job, but more than that, this is what people who care about children do. You focus on healing. I've got Emma." For the next 3 days, Patricia stayed with Emma. The nanny service bill came to $3,780. I paid it without hesitation. Worth every penny. My mother didn't call once to check on me. Not once. On day 4, my phone started ringing. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. By evening, she called 23 times. My father called 14 times. Even my sister called, which was unusual because we barely spoke. I finally answered on call number 31. "Hello. Sarah." My mother's voice was hysterical. "What did you do? What did you do?" "I'm recovering from surgery, Mom. Thanks for asking. Emma's fine, by the way. Also thanks for asking. Don't you dare be sarcastic with me. The mortgage payment didn't go through. Our account is overdrawn. The bank is calling. What is happening?" There was. "I canceled the automatic transfer," I said calmly. "What transfer? What are you talking about?" "The $3,800 I've been sending you every month for the past 8 years. I stopped it." Silence. Complete total silence. Then, "That was you." His mom. "That was me. Every month since I was 24 years old. Your mortgage, your car payments, your property taxes, your HOA fees. All of it. $374,240 total. You're welcome. But we thought, your father's investments. Dad doesn't have investments, Mom. He has a modest pension and Social Security. You've been living off my income for almost a decade. And when I needed you for one single afternoon to watch your granddaughter while I had emergency surgery to save my life, you told me you weren't missing your cruise for my drama. Sarah, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You chose a vacation over your daughter's life. You called a medical emergency drama. You told me to figure it out myself. So I did. I hired a stranger to care for Emma, and I'm cutting you off permanently. Every automatic payment has been canceled. You're on your own now. You can't do this. We'll lose everything. The house, the car. Figure it out yourself, Mom. You're an adult. I hung up. The calls continued. 47 times that day. 52 times the next day. 68 times the day after that. I blocked both my parents' numbers. Then came the emails. The text messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. The Facebook messages. All of them said the same thing. How could I be so cruel? How could I abandon my parents? How could I let them lose their home? Not one of them asked how I was recovering. Not one asked about Emma. Not one acknowledged that my mother had refused to help during a medical emergency. I was released from the hospital after 6 days. Patricia helped me get settled at home with Emma, made sure I had everything I needed, and gave me her personal number, just in case. I paid her a $500 bonus. He cried and hugged me. 2 weeks after the accident, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Sarah Chin? A professional female voice. Yes. This is Gloria Martin. I'm a social worker at Mercy General. I was reviewing some cases from recent weeks and I came across something concerning. May I speak with you about your emergency admission on October 3rd? My heart sank. Were they investigating me? Had someone reported me for something? Of course, I said cautiously. I see here that you were admitted with life-threatening injuries from a car accident. You underwent emergency surgery. Your chart notes that you called your mother for help with childcare and she refused. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. And you then hired a private nanny service from your hospital bed? Yes. Patricia was wonderful. My daughter was perfectly cared for. I'm not questioning that at all, Gloria said quickly. I'm actually calling because one of our ER nurses flagged your case. She was concerned about the family dynamics. Would you be willing to meet with me? I think there's something you should know. We met 3 days later at a coffee shop near the hospital. Gloria was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a direct manner. She didn't waste time on small talk. Sarah, what I'm about to tell you is something I think you need to hear, but it's not going to be easy. I've been a social worker for 27 years. I've seen thousands of cases of family neglect, abuse, and dysfunction. Your case stood out to me because it's what we call covert emotional neglect from parental figures with narcissistic tendencies. I must have looked confused because she continued. Your mother's response to your emergency wasn't just selfish. It was pathological. A normal parent, even one who's not particularly close to their adult child, would respond to a medical emergency. The fact that she didn't, combined with what our nurse overheard about your financial support of them, suggests a deeply dysfunctional dynamic. I just thought she was always kind of self-centered, I said weakly. Sarah, has your mother ever acknowledged your accomplishments? Celebrated your achievements? Showed genuine interest in your life? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I finally said. Never. Has she ever compared you unfavorably to your sister? Constantly. Has she ever made you feel responsible for her happiness or well-being? I thought about the 8 years of payments. The guilt I felt even now for stopping them. Yes. Gloria nodded. What you've been experiencing is called golden child/scapegoat dynamics. Your sister is the golden child, can do no wrong, represents success. You're the scapegoat, blamed for problems, expected to give without receiving, never quite good enough. And you've been financially supporting this dynamic, literally paying for the privilege of being treated poorly. Something cracked open inside my chest. All those years. All that money. All that trying to earn love that was never going to come. What do? I whispered. You've already done it. Gloria said firmly. You cut off the money. That was the right call. Now you need to maintain boundaries. They're going to escalate. They're going to try guilt, manipulation, flying monkeys, family members who pressure you on their behalf. You need to stay strong. I feel so guilty though. Of course you do. They've trained you to feel responsible for them. But Sarah, answer me this. If the situation was reversed, if they were the ones with money and you were struggling, do you think they'd secretly pay your bills for 8 years? I knew the answer immediately. No. Exactly. This has been a one-way relationship. You deserve better. More importantly, Emma deserves to grow up seeing her mother treated with respect. You're breaking a generational pattern. That's hard, but it's necessary. We talked for 2 hours. When I left, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Clear-headed. Sure of myself. 3 weeks after the accident, on a Tuesday afternoon, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw my mother and father standing there. My mother looked furious. My father looked defeated. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. What do you want? We need to talk, my mother said, trying to push past me. I blocked the doorway. We can talk here. Sarah, please. Don't be difficult. We drove all the way here. You drove 30 minutes, Mom. The same 30 minutes you couldn't spare when I was dying in a hospital. That's not fair. We didn't know it was that serious. I told you I had internal bleeding. I told you I needed emergency surgery. What part of that didn't sound serious? My father finally spoke. Sarah, sweetheart, we're going to lose the house. We need you to reinstate the payments. Just until we figure something else out. Figure what out, Dad? You're both retired. You have no other income. You've been living off me for 8 years. If I start paying again, you'll just expect it forever. But where will we go? My mother's voice hit that whining tone I'd heard my whole life when she wasn't getting her way. I don't know, Mom. Maybe you can stay with Melissa. She's the successful daughter, right? The one worth spending time with. Melissa doesn't have room. She has a 5-bedroom house. Her guest rooms are occupied. Then downsize. Sell the house. Get an apartment you can afford on Dad's pension. That's what normal people do. This is our home, Sarah. We've lived here for 30 years. And I've paid for it for 8 of those years. I'm done. My mother's face twisted into something ugly. You're just doing this to punish us. You've always been spiteful. Selfish. This is exactly why we've never been close. Something inside me snapped. We've never been close because you've never wanted to be close to me. You've never liked me. From the day I was born, I was the accident, the burden, the disappointment. I've spent 32 years trying to earn your love and I'm done. I'm done paying for it. I'm done begging for it. I'm done. If you don't help us, we'll be homeless, my mother shrieked. Then I guess you'll figure it out. You're adults, remember? I closed the door. They pounded on it for 10 minutes, but I didn't open it again. Eventually they left. The phone calls became extreme. My mother called 8-9 times in one day. When I blocked her number, she called from other people's phones. She showed up at my apartment 4 more times. I stopped answering the door. Then came the Facebook post. My mother wrote a long, detailed post about her ungrateful daughter, who abandoned her elderly parents in their time of need. She painted herself as the victim of a cruel, heartless child. She conveniently left out the part about refusing to watch Emma during my surgery. She definitely didn't mention the $374,240. Extended family members I barely knew started commenting. Family should help family. Elders deserve respect. How could you? I didn't respond to any of it. Gloria had warned me this would happen. Don't defend yourself on social media, she'd said. People who want to believe you're the villain will believe it no matter what you say. The people who matter will see the truth. He was right. 3 of my cousins reached out privately. We saw your mom's post, but we also noticed she wouldn't say what actually happened. What's the real story? I told them. All of it. The 8 years of payments. The cruise. The refusal to help with Emma. The complete lack of concern for my well-being. Their responses were similar. Oh my God, I had no idea. That's awful. You did the right thing. But publicly my mother's narrative dominated. I was the ungrateful daughter. The family villain. Fine. I could live with that. 6 weeks after the accident, I was mostly healed physically. The emotional healing was ongoing. I'd started seeing a therapist who specialized in family trauma. It helped. Then something unexpected happened. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, an elderly male voice said, "Sarah? This is your grandfather. Your mother's father. Don't hang up." I'd never met my maternal grandfather. He and my grandmother had divorced when my mother was young, and there'd been some kind of major falling out. My mother never talked about him except to say he was dead to the family. "Grandpa Frank," I said cautiously. "That's right. I know this is out of the blue, but I need to talk to you. Your mother doesn't know I'm calling. Can we meet?" We met the next day at the same coffee shop where I'd met Gloria. Frank was 78, sharp as a tack, and didn't pull punches. "I heard about what happened," he said after we ordered coffee. "From your Aunt Linda, your mother's sister. She told me about the car accident, the surgery, and your mother's response. She also told me about the money you'd been sending." "How did Aunt Linda know?" "She's been watching this train wreck for years. She tried to warn you once, but your mother intercepted the call." "Did you ever get a message from Linda about 5 years ago?" I vaguely remembered my mother mentioning that her sister had called but was spreading lies and I shouldn't talk to her. I'd never questioned it. "I thought as much," Frank said grimly. "Sarah, I need to tell you something about your mother. She's my daughter and I love her, but she's not a good person. Never has been. She was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder when she was 19. Refused treatment. It destroyed my marriage to her mother because we disagreed on how to handle it." He took a sip of coffee and continued. "She's done this before. Found someone to financially support her while treating them like garbage. She did it to her first husband, your sister's biological father. Did you know Melissa has a different dad?" "I didn't." "What? Your mother was married before your father. Her first husband, Richard, supported her for years while she treated him like dirt. Constantly compared him to other men, made him feel worthless, but kept him around for his money. When he finally left, she moved on to your father. He's a good man but weak. He'll never stand up to her." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to know it's not you. It's never been you. She's incapable of genuine love or empathy. You could be a Nobel Prize winner and she'd still find something wrong with you because the problem isn't what you do, it's what you are to her. Your supply. You're a source of money and someone to feel superior to. That's all you've ever been to her." I sat there stunned. "What you did by cutting off the money. That was exactly right. She's going to lose the house. They're already in foreclosure proceedings. Your father called me last week begging for help. I told him the same thing I'm telling you. It's time for them to face reality." "What will they do?" "They'll downsize. Get a small apartment. Live within their actual means. Your father's pension and social security will cover a modest lifestyle. They just won't have the big house and the fancy cars and the annual cruises." "And Sarah? That's not your problem. That was never supposed to be your problem." We talked for another hour. Frank told me stories about my mother's behavior over the years, the people she'd used and discarded, the pattern of abuse that had repeated across decades. It was validating and heartbreaking at the same time. Before we parted, he said, "I'd like to get to know you and Emma if you're open to it. I know I'm a stranger, but I'm your grandfather and I'd like to try." "I'd like that too," I said. 2 months after the accident, my parents lost the house. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment 30 miles away. Melissa, despite her 5-bedroom house and $400,000 salary, didn't offer to help them. Apparently when they asked, she said she and her husband had carefully budgeted their lifestyle and couldn't take on additional expenses. The irony wasn't lost on me. My mother sent me one final email. "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed your family. We'll never forgive you." I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 3 months after the accident, I was fully healed. Emma was thriving. I'd gotten a promotion at work. A $15,000 raise that I could actually keep instead of sending to my parents. I'd moved into a better apartment with 2 bedrooms so Emma could have her own room. Grandpa Frank visited every Sunday. He was the grandfather I'd never had, the parent figure I'd always needed. He taught Emma to paint. He took me to lunch and actually asked about my life, my interests, my dreams. He met Patricia, who still occasionally babysat for us, and told her she was an angel. "This is what family is supposed to be," he told me one afternoon while Emma napped. "People who show up. People who care. Not because they have to, but because they want to. One day, I ran into an old acquaintance from high school at the grocery store. She'd seen my mother's Facebook posts about me being a terrible daughter. "I just wanted you to know," she said quietly, "I never believed that narrative. I remember how your mom talked about you in high school. I'm sorry you went through that." "Thank you," I said. It meant more than she knew. Today, 6 months after the accident, I'm sitting in my living room watching Emma play with blocks. She's almost 3 now. Happy, healthy, loved. She calls Grandpa Frank Papa Frank, and lights up every time he visits. I have $3,800 extra in my budget every month. I've started a college fund for Emma. I'm planning a real vacation, just the two of us, to Disneyland. I bought myself new clothes that aren't from Target. I got my car repaired properly instead of living with the dents and scratches. My mother hasn't called in 2 months. The last I heard from Aunt Linda, my parents are managing in their apartment but making everyone miserable with their complaints. My father tried to reach out once through Grandpa Frank, but I declined contact. Maybe someday, but not now. Not until he can stand up for himself and acknowledge what happened. Melissa sent me a single text last month. "Mom's been calling me constantly asking for money." I blocked her. Just FYI. I didn't respond. Melissa made her choices too. But here's what I've learned in the past 6 months. Cutting off toxic family isn't cruel. It's self-preservation. It's choosing yourself and your child over people who have proven they don't value you. It's refusing to pay, literally and figuratively, for love that should have been freely given. I spent $374,240 trying to buy my mother's love. I could have bought a house with that money. Emma's entire college education. Decades of security and comfort. Instead, I bought a painful but necessary lesson. Some people will take everything you give and still ask for more. And the only way to win is to stop playing the game. Oh, and remember that surgeon I mentioned? The one who walked into my hospital room while my mother was there demanding I reinstate the payments? That happened on day 5 of my recovery. My mother had somehow sweet-talked her way past the nurses, and she was standing over my bed, listing all the reasons I owed her. The surgeon, Dr. Reeves, came in for a post-op check. She took one look at the scene, me exhausted and pale, my mother red-faced and gesturing wildly, and said, "I'm going to need you to leave. My patient needs rest." "I'm her mother," my mother snapped. "I have a right to be here." Dr. Reeves pulled up my chart on the tablet. "According to our records, you refused to provide childcare for your granddaughter when your daughter was admitted with life-threatening injuries. Our ER staff documented that conversation. You told her, and I quote, 'I'm not missing my cruise for your drama.'" My mother's face went pale. "Your daughter had a ruptured spleen, internal bleeding, 3 broken ribs, and coded once during surgery. She nearly died. And you were on a cruise ship." Dr. Reeves's voice was ice cold. "So no, I don't think you have a right to be here causing her stress during recovery. Leave now, or I'll call security and have you permanently banned from this floor." My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish. No sound came out. She looked at me, expecting me to defend her or smooth things over like I always had. I said nothing. She grabbed her purse and left. The look on her face, shock, humiliation, disbelief, was absolutely priceless. Dr. Reeves waited until the door closed, then turned to me with a gentle smile. "I have a daughter. If she ever needed me and I chose a vacation instead, I wouldn't deserve to be called a mother. You did nothing wrong by cutting her off." "Nothing." I started crying. She pulled up a chair and sat with me for 20 minutes, not as my surgeon but as one human being to another, and told me about setting boundaries with her own toxic mother-in-law. She gave me Gloria's number and told me to seek therapy for family trauma. That conversation changed everything. It was the first time a parental figure had ever validated my feelings instead of dismissing them. It gave me the strength to maintain my boundaries when the pressure mounted. So here I am, 6 months later. A single mother with a beautiful daughter, a relationship with my grandfather, a career I'm good at, and absolutely zero debt to the people who gave birth to me. I'm not going to lie and say it's been easy. Some days I still feel guilty. Some days I wonder if I should have tried harder, been more understanding, given them another chance. But then I remember I gave them 32 years of chances. I gave them $374,240. I gave them my time, my energy, my emotional labor, my desperate attempts to be good enough. They gave me nothing but criticism and demands for more. I'm done giving to people who only know how to take. Emma will grow up knowing her worth. She'll grow up seeing her mother set boundaries and stand up for herself. She'll grow up with a Papa Frank who loves her unconditionally, not because she achieves anything or provides anything, but simply because she exists. That's what love is supposed to be. And if my mother ever wonders why she lost her daughter, the answer is simple. She never had me to begin with. She had a bank account with emotions attached. When the bank account closed, there was nothing left. I'm finally free. Emma's safe. We're building a life surrounded by people who actually care about us. And honestly, that's priceless. If you made it this far, thank you for reading my story. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if you've experienced something similar, family who only valued what you could provide rather than who you are, know that you're not alone. You're not the villain. And you deserve better. You deserve people who would drop everything for you in an emergency, not people who would choose a cruise. Choose yourself. Protect your peace. Build your chosen family. It's the best decision I ever made.